Bienvenidos a la playa. Welcome back to the beach on Costa Rica's beautiful Pacific coast. Today we will be gently seeking to open our hearts, not only physically, but also mentally. Allowing our outer shell to fall away and the heart to soften and open up to the wonderful experiences of this life. So often we seek to protect ourselves from further hurt and pain by putting up walls and closing ourselves off, but in doing so, we also shut the door to experiences that could benefit and change us for the better. This class is a great place to start for beginners or anyone who just needs a gentle and slower paced practice today. Let's step onto the mat and flow. Let's get started seated on our heels at the back of the mat. Let's rest the backs of the hands on the thighs. Palms are open. Feeling your mind and heart beginning to open. As you let go of everything around you, every possible distraction, and just being present. Setting an intention for this practice. Let's reach the hands behind the back, extend through the elbows, and fold forward to the mat, and slowly rolling back up, reaching the hands behind you, rolling forward, bringing the forehead to the mat, moving with your breath. This time, let's roll up to our knees, reach the hands down toward the knees, and then rolling down, sitting back into child's pose. Forehead coming down to the mat. Hands are still reaching up. And then release them down toward your feet, relaxing your arms at your sides. And just breathe. Let's come forward, up on all fours, and then tuck the toes, lifting into plank. From here you can chaturanga down or bring those knees down to the mat, and then release your chest toward the mat. Bring the hips down as you open up, pushing into the hands, finding cobra, looking forward or up to the sky. And then walk your hands forward, elbows underneath your shoulders as you push into your forearms, finding Sphinx pose. And then let's bring the hands back toward the chest and roll the head up and down, rolling the upper body down to the mat and then up again toward the sky, moving gently, moving with the breath. Let's reach up to the sky and roll down, forehead to the mat. Then lifting up again into Cobra. You can stay here or find Sphinx pose again. Elbows under the shoulders. Or lift up into Seal, pushing into the hands and extending through the elbows. This is quite intense for the lower back. So just do whatever you're ready for. Whatever feels good on your body. And then releasing down, bringing the hands back. And push back, lifting the knees up off of the mat and extending them into downward facing dog. You can walk your feet here, bending one knee at a time, or just keep them straight, maybe keeping a slight bend in case your heels can't reach to the mat all the way. Let's slowly roll forward to plank and then release the hips back to down dog, doing our spinal waves in a plank pose, rolling forward plank and releasing the hips back, roll forward, downward facing dog, Inhaling as you come forward and exhaling as you come back. Now let's hold in downward facing dog for a breath. And exhale, let's come forward to plank again. You can bring your knees to the mat or chaturanga down, releasing the belly onto the mat, releasing the toes. And let's grab the right ankle with the right hand. Pull the heel to the glutes, stretching out the quad. Then maybe lifting up into half bow pose. So push into the hand with that foot. And then release down. Let's switch to the other side, bringing the heel to the glute before we lift up into half bow. Pushing into the mat with the other hand. Lifting the thigh off of the mat. And releasing down. Let's push into the mat, sitting back into child's pose or a wide-legged child's pose. And you can bring your hands to your lower back and just kind of give a little massage. Bring a little bit more love into your lower back. And bring the hands back to the mat. Let's reach them forward, all the way forward to the front of your mat. And try to keep your hips over your knees as you release your chest down toward the mat. You may need to stay up halfway. Just come down as far as you can, as far as is comfortable. We're trying to open up through the shoulders, opening up the chest. And then sitting back down into child's pose or wide-legged child's pose with your knees wide on the mat. And let's come up to downward facing dog. Lift the left leg up to the sky and then step it through to the front between your hands, reaching the arms up to the sky and bending the elbows, coming into cactus arms, opening up through the chest, opening up the front body toward the sky. And as you fold forward over your left knee, let's bring the elbows down together and lifting up, open them back up to the sides. And then pivoting to the right side, let's open into Warrior Two. Arms straight out to the sides, bending into your left knee. And then open that front palm as you reach for your back leg with your right arm, finding Reverse Warrior. And then reaching forward, finding extended side angle, bringing your left hand down to the mat or your left elbow, and reaching up and over with your right arm. And now let's straighten that left leg and open the arms wide. Right arm is reaching up to the sky, left arm is reaching down to the mat. Your right hip is opening up to the right side, probably feeling a nice stretch in your left leg. You can also bring that right hand down, reaching toward your left hip, behind your back. Go wherever you're comfortable. And let's reach the arm back up to the sky. Bend into the left knee, finding Warrior Two again. And pivoting everything to face forward, reaching up with the arms. High lunge, and then hands come down to the mat, step back to plank, chaturanga down, upward facing dog, and downward facing dog. Beautiful, let's keep going. Let's reach the right leg up to the sky this time, bend the knee and step it between the hands. Reach the hands up to the sky, high lunge, open the arms up into cactus, And bring them down and forward, coming back up, opening them into cactus, opening the chest, and pivoting to the left side, finding warrior two, bending into your right knee. Arms are straight out to opposite sides of the mat. And let's open that right palm and lift it up and over, reaching back for your left leg with your left hand. Reverse warrior. And coming forward into extended side angle, right elbow on the knee, or bringing the right hand down to the mat as you reach up and over with your left arm. Let's find triangle pose now by straightening that right leg, opening the arms, reaching the left arm up to the sky, the right arm is reaching down, fingertips are reaching toward the mat. You can stay like this or reach that left hand toward the opposite hip crease, down and behind your back, opening the left hip now, and coming back to triangle. Let's bend into the right knee for warrior two. Pivoting everything forward for high lunge, and hands come down to mat. Let's step back to plank, chaturanga or knees, chest, chin, upward facing dog, and downward facing dog. You're doing an amazing job. Let's bring the knees down to the mat and sit back into child's pose. Taking a breather. And let's roll up to the knees, lift the hands up to the sky, and bring them down to heart. You can place one hand on your belly and one hand on your chest just to make sure that you stay straight. What we're going to do next is lean back, keeping everything straight, and then coming up using only our core and our quad muscles. Just leaning back as far as you can and coming forward. Just doing this a few times, strengthening our thighs before we stretch them. And now bringing the knees a little bit wider. Let's open up to the right side as we reach back to the heel in half camel and swinging forward, reaching back to the left heel with the left hand, reaching up and over with the right arm, and swinging back to the right side and back to the left, and coming back to the right side, opening up, and once again swinging to the left side, half camel, and this time coming all the way up. Place your hands on the small of your back and push your hips forward. Allow your head to release back, and to make this just a little bit easier for you to reach your ankles, tuck your toes, bringing your ankles up a little bit higher, and reach down with your hands to grab onto the ankles, opening up through the shoulders, opening up through the throat and the chest, pushing the hips forward. You can release your toes down if you'd like to, if your flexibility allows in your back, but please don't go beyond your limits. This is your journey, and the more that you practice this pose, the easier it will come. To come out, let's bring the head up, place the hands back on the small of the back, let out a big exhale, and slowly sit down onto the heels. Bring the knees wide again and find our wide-legged child's pose. Hands are reaching forward to the top of the mat. Let's breathe into that lower back, bringing oxygen into every muscle. And let's roll up. Bring the knees to the center of the mat, and let's just roll out the back, arching the spine and letting the belly drop, rounding out the back as you push through the hands and extend through the elbows. Just make this as fluid as you like. And then let's pivot the left knee to face toward the side of the mat with your foot behind you. Step your right foot to the back of the mat and reach your right arm up and over your head, looking up to the sky, finding our modified side plank. Again, staying here, or maybe reaching that right hand toward the left hip. Let's release the hand up to the sky again as you step your right foot back behind you into a sort of a modified wild thing. Pushing through your hips, arching the back, looking back behind you toward that right hand. Just enjoying this pose, enjoying the stretch, and coming back to center, coming back to the modified side plank, and pivoting forward, sitting back into child's pose. You can lift up onto your fingertips for an added shoulder stretch. And then let's open to the opposite side now, pivoting the right knee to face forward, right foot back behind you, left leg extended out, left arm reaching up and over, or reaching down behind your back to your right hip. Let's bring the arm up again, reach it back, and step your left foot back behind you a bit more, but still extend it out into our modified wild thing. Opening up through the chest, opening up through the throat, reaching your chin towards something behind you, and coming back down, pivoting forward, and sitting back down into child's pose. Let's lift up, tuck the toes, and come up into downward facing dog. Lift the heels, come onto the toes, and bend the knees, and slowly walk your feet. Toward your hands, finding forward fold. Maybe grab your hands behind your back, reaching them up and over your head. And then release everything down, sitting down to the mat, reaching the hands behind you, placing your feet on the mat, and lift your hips up to the sky, reverse tabletop, squeezing the glutes, opening your chest up to the sky again, and then sitting down. Before we come down, back to the mat, our next pose is fish pose. So bring your hands underneath the small of your back, underneath your sacrum, underneath your tailbone. Extend your legs out and slowly begin to push into your elbows, into your forearms, and bring the top of your head, the crown of your head, onto the mat as you arch your back, opening up your chest toward the sky. Notice where your mind is at. Notice if anything comes up for you in this pose. And to come out, let's lift the head up off of the mat first, and then relax the back down to the mat, releasing the hands, and bring the knees into the chest. Grab onto the outsides of the feet, onto the big toes or behind the knees, finding happy baby, maybe rocking side to side or just holding in stillness. Allow your knees to come down toward your armpits, toward the mat, and just relax and breathe. Let's release the feet, bring the knees into the chest, bring the nose toward the knees, and then releasing everything down, coming into our final pose, Shavasana. Let's relax every single part of the body, especially relaxing your chest, your spine, your lower back. Breathe and let everything go. Let's bring some movement back into the fingers, into the toes. And then reach up and over with the arms. Bend the knees and maybe roll over onto one side or roll up. And come into seated at the center of your mat. Let's reach the hands up to the sky and bend the elbows, open the chest, open the arms into cactus. Take a deep exhale out. Big inhale as we open the arms, extend through the elbows and reach up, bringing the hands down to heart and taking a moment to say thank you. You did an amazing job, and I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. Namaste.